I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your cattle market summary for the week ending November the 15th. We had calf prices very uneven across the nation this week. It really depended on what region you were in and what size the calves were. The unevenness split about 550 pounds. Those calves that were weighing over 550 pounds selling mostly $5 lower. Your light peewee calves under 550 pounds selling fully $5 higher, and spots as much as $12 higher, especially in central Oklahoma there. Yearlings just continue to dwindle. We're really getting tight on yearlings. Not really enough yearlings selling on the spot market to really test the market. And but those that sold were firm to $5 higher. You really can't fill your needs if you're a cattle feeder, especially a commercial feedlot, with just yearlings, because there's not enough of them to go around. At a big sale, you might have just a few straight loads of true yearling cattle. Most of your cattle that you're calling yearlings are just really some aged calves or some long time weaned calves that have some size to them. But we won't see many yearlings coming back on the market until we get in the dead of winter, and somewhere or another they're going to run out of wheat, and you'll have some short yearling cattle that have a lot of condition. Froze out cattle come off right there in January and February. We'd like to think that the wheat will last them, but there's going to be some spots in there where we're going to have some short yearling cattle coming off dry wheat. But your best demand is for those wheat cattle right in the southern plains there, and a lot of people in that country especially call them Wheaties. And Wheaties are not just a breakfast cereal anymore. Wheaties are some little 4-weight calves, hard calves, long time weaned type calves that are ready to go to wheat. You don't see a lot of those kind of cattle, and just like normal, when you really need something, there's not very many of them around. But 4-weight calves in a condition to really turn on wheat are hard to find in this time of year. Most of your light calves are coming right off the cow. They don't really want those kind of fancy calves that they're ballers and those pretty calves that you see that's been on the creep feed and everything. They want the little hard calves that were weaned really early and been trying to get by on just some dry summer grass or some overgrazed pastures or something. They're not that easy to find. Most of the time you have to put your orders out and go into the southeast and some little nooks and crannies trying to find these really hard wheat calves. But that's what we want. And when you see those long time weaned light calves weighing in the 4s, that's whenever you see these prices go up to like 12 bucks higher. It's where you saw there in El Reno and places like that when they had calves like that. Those light 4-weight calves can really do good on early growth of wheat pasture, but wheat is pretty rank as far as a forage, and it's kind of hard on their bellies sometimes. You got to get that room into working. Cattle can bloat pretty easy on wheat, especially after a light frost, and we're seeing that already. November 15th is the big time to turn wheat cattle out. Most of the wheat is grown up enough to do that, and yet it's dry enough where they're not going to pull it out or stomp it out right now. But wheat is pretty strong forage there. But they can put a lot of cheap, easy gain on in a real hurry right there. And you know, we call those little calves Wheaties. We also call those cowboys that take care of them Wheaties. And you're going to see a lot of those running around the country here this time of year. Those guys that are good with cattle, good with horses, because they're turning these cattle out. There's no facilities, and 99% of your wheat pastures have no facilities. You see a lot of guys throw up some panels around the water and try to make a little place to catch some cattle, but for the most part, you're going to be turning these cattle out on farm ground. There's not a windbreak for several hundred miles besides the little thin hot wire that they've got around the place, and you've got to have somebody that knows how to take care of cattle in there to take care of them. You see these guys running around these flatbed pickups, these single axle gooseneck trailers that they can bounce across the plowed field with. Those guys are going to have to rope these cattle if they need to get their hands on them for the most part. And that's why you see half-top trailers. They can throw that rope over a trailer hitch ball or something that's welded on the back end of that trailer. Pull those calves into the trailer and get in there and get them behind that center gate or somehow and get their hands on them and treat them, because there's just no other way to do it. It's not like your ranches where your grass traps have a nice little set of pins there with a chute and everything. That's not going to happen on your wheat fields, because as most of those guys that have wheat, they don't want anything else on that place. They pull up the electric fence and they come in there and harvest that off or plow it up and grow something else when they're done. But go up north in the northern plains and they're going to feed those calves. They're going to shut them up in a nice cozy place with a shed on the north side and a bunk on the south side. They're going to grind up these cheap grains and ground hay and put some cheap gains on these calves this year. A lot more cattle are going to be shut up and fed, whether they're calves or bigger cattle, in the northern plains of Iowa and Nebraska and up north in the Dakotas, places like that, than there has been in several years, because we've got this feed so cheap right now. Your corn market actually did get a little shot in the arm this week from a bullish USDA report. It kind of slacked off on the average yield per acre down to 173.4 bushels to the acre, which is nothing to sneeze at, but it's not like these everybody's thinking that they're getting 200 bushels the acre. If you talk to people that really know about farming, you don't see a lot of fields. You might see spots within fields, but you don't see a lot of fields that average much over 200 bushel to the acre, although corn was good this year. Corn harvest about 80% complete. Soybean harvest about 90% complete, but you're still seeing elevators that are full, even your big terminals that are full. You see trucks lined up trying to get rid of their grains. But this year the farmers are going to keep as much of that grain on the farm as they can. They put up harvest stores and bins and trying to keep as much of it as they can, because it's not too tough to turn that cheap grain into pounds of cattle that you're really getting more per pound of gain than you've ever gotten as far as value on this cheap feed. And that's even in relation to even when things were a whole lot cheaper. But really you're getting a lot of value out of your pound of gain for what it's costing to put that on. The weather was a big factor this week. Big chill come across the entire nation, especially the Midwest and moving on to the east side for this weekend. But the weather probably played as big a part in your uneven calf market as anything else, because it's the first big blast of cold, and it always is a big jolt when it comes. In another 5 or 6 weeks they wouldn't think anything about a little cold front like this. But this first one, it makes guys hesitate a little bit. It takes them a little bit to get set up, really, to see how they're going to handle the cold. So you had a lot of orders pulled back for calves, and it made them very uneven there. But your fat cattle market this week broke another all-time record highs and really showed a lot of strength this week by flexing its muscle and gaining $3 to $5 right in the face of the holidays coming up. You just don't see that. With your beef markets and cattle, your dress beef has been kind of steady right along here, but your fat cattle market, just due to supplies being so tight, $3 to $5 higher right as we're going into the week before Thanksgiving. And that shows a lot of strength. Previously, on a bulk basis, 170 was an all-time high. This week, 170 to 172. So all-time record highs on your fat cattle market again this week. That wraps up your cattle market summary for this week. Check out our website for more market information, DVAuction. Check out the Stock Exchange News to see this report. Coming very soon, this market will be featured on cattlemarketsummary.com. So from my DVAuction home office here in Maysville, Missouri, we'll talk to you next week.